You're watching Las Vegas 1. News and information 24/7.
A handful of condo-hotel buyers say they were misled by hotel giant MGM Mirage. Are their ranks growing, and do they have a case? Plus, mine's bigger than yours. That was the word from the Donald when he announced his high-rise condo trumped other projects slated for the Strip. Now hundreds of prospective buyers say they want their money back. We'll tell you why. And when does 64 stories not equal 64 floors? We'll ask some experts next on Face to Face. Welcome to Face to Face. I'm Dana Gentry filling in for John Ralston, who is on assignment in Carson City. We're catching up on an expanding story we brought you earlier this year about some high-rise condo owners who claimed they were misled by hotel giant MGM Mirage. Now the dissatisfaction with the condo-hotel product is moving down the Strip to Trump Las Vegas, where months after the project's completion, only about 20% of buyers have closed escrow, and hundreds of would-be buyers are asking for their money back. Are they unhappy with the project, unable to get financing, or afraid of what they're hearing from other condo-hotel unit owners? In a little while, we'll hear from the attorney representing owners of signature MGM Turnberry units who are suing MGM Mirage. We also wanted to talk with someone from the Trump organization, but we did not get a response. We asked MGM too. They did not. They declined to join us. Joining me now, though, all the way from Florida, Securities attorney Burton Wyan, and also from Florida, Jared Beck. He's an expert in condo-hotel law. Thanks to both of you for being here. This is not a problem that is just isolated to Las Vegas, is it?
Well, with respect to this, it definitely is not. I became involved in this because I was called by the Wall Street Journal and asked about whether or not these investments were securities, and I indicated to them in the circumstances they could be. The amount of times my phone has rung has been unprecedented compared to other public appearances I've made. And these matters, I got calls from states from all across the country from people who are concerned about having bought these investments in the situation they were in.
Okay, and the situation that we're seeing today is not the same as when many people sign these contracts. In fact, let me show you what Larry Murphy of Sales Track, who's a local real estate expert, told the Review Journal earlier this month. He said people who bought units on contract in 2005 are aware the market in 2008 is nothing like the market they bought in, but appraisals are coming in at whatever they agreed to pay on their contract 3 years ago. People are saying, we don't think that appraisal is right, and we don't want to close at that price. A lot of people have been unwilling or unable to come to the closing table. Not only has the market changed, but the credit market has changed as well, and a lot of these people are just having trouble finding financing, aren't they? Mr. Beck, what do you think?
Well, absolutely. We're in the middle of a nationwide crisis right now. My practice is centered in Florida, and Florida is certainly one of the epicenters that is dealing with this right now. But that's also true of Nevada, and it's also true of other housing markets all across the country. I mean, just in the last couple of weeks, I've gotten calls from concerned buyers in residential real estate projects from North Carolina, Missouri, Hawaii. I mean, it's a nationwide phenomenon. People are scared to death of coming to the closing table, even if they could close, and in a lot of cases people can't close because they no longer have the means or they can't get a mortgage. Even if they could close, they don't want to close. So it is absolutely a nationwide crisis.
In fact, there's a group of owners in Las Vegas, or prospective buyers of the Trump units, who have a group put together, and they have a website that you can go on, and they're trying to get their deposits back. And many of them say that they're not happy with the product as it turned out, that the square footage is not the same that they were promised. And in some cases, they're complaining about the floors being misrepresented. The way that Mr. Trump ordered the floors, he boasted of this building being a 64-story building. In fact, he was shown with the mayor and several dignitaries at the topping off talking about the 64-story building, but it's actually only 56 floors, and they went from 1 to 8 and then from 16 to 64. What would the purpose of something like that be? Any idea, Mr. Wyan?
Well, obviously, it makes it enhances your product and makes it look more grand than it really is. And I think with respect to the particular aspects of what that might have on the purchase transaction. I think Mr. Beck's probably better able to speak to that than me.
Is that something that I can go back and say, you know, I bought on the 20th floor, I expected 19 floors below me?
Well, let me just say this. Whenever you're talking about a possible misrepresentation, and especially in the context of a real property purchase, you've got to look at the context of the misrepresentation. So, for example, if you've got a high-rise building and it's built out in the middle of nowhere, and it goes from a certain number of stories, say 70 floors down to 60 floors, that may not be material because your view is going to be the same. You're not surrounded by any other buildings, and you're looking off into empty space. But take the context of Vegas, take the context of a housing market where everybody wants to be the biggest and the baddest, and everyone wants to have the biggest, newest, greatest project around. Then if you've got a reduction in the number of floors, that could be very material, and that could certainly be a basis to rescind purchase contract.
Now, even though technically I understand under the building code 10 feet equals a story, doesn't there seem to be some misrepresentation, some intention to deceive buyers there?
Well, I think you can absolutely make a case like that. I mean, it's all about the cachet of living on the uppermost floor. My floor is higher than your floor. You know, if you buy a unit on the 60th floor, and then when you consummate the transaction and you realize, oh my gosh, I'm on the 50th floor. Well, that may be a material issue that entitles you to get your money back.
Okay, we have to take a break. When we come back, we'll find out why are these buyers hesitant to close on their Trump Las Vegas units. Are they concerned about the square footage, the floor they're on, or maybe they just can't get financing? Don't go away. Welcome back to Face to Face. I'm Dana Gentry filling in for John Ralston. We're talking about the condo-hotel market with some experts from Florida. Okay, an expert locally told in Business Las Vegas that financing for high-rise condo buyers has just dried up here. Here's what he said.
A client that could have closed on the unit with 20-25% down payment, maybe 30% max, is now asked by the same bank to come up with 45% to 50%, at times double of what he has already in escrow and had in escrow for 2 or 3 years perhaps. And not only that, he's also now proposed a loan that's, instead of 6 or 7% interest, it's a 9, 10, 11% interest.
Mr. Beck, maybe these concerns about the square footage and what floor we're on are just smoke and mirrors, and maybe these people just really can't come up with the financing and they're trying to get their money back under false pretenses. What do you think?
Well, the nature of the market, the fact that we're in a downturn has a lot to do with the fact that we're seeing a lot of lawsuits right now. There's no question about it. But the fact of the matter is, I think the chickens are coming home to roost on a lot of these issues. Issues which people may not have cared about 3, 4 years ago when it was easy to flip these properties and make a quick profit. Well, they're coming home to roost because people can't flip the properties. That doesn't, however, excuse the developers from fulfilling all their obligations under the contract and from complying with federal law and state law. And the fact of the matter is that we're in a down market right now, so people are incentivized to look for things wrong with the building itself. But that doesn't mean that just because people might have had a speculative intent or they can no longer come to the closing table because they can't get a mortgage or so forth, that doesn't mean they're the bad guys. It just means that the nature of the market as we see it now has kind of fleshed out a lot of problems which were inherent in the real estate industry and the development industry for so long.
And maybe they're hearing some of these stories from the people we're going to hear about in our next segment, the people at the MGM Signature Project. They say that they were made promises from the salespeople about the return that they could expect on their investments. And that's kind of a tricky thing, according to one article we saw. It said under SEC guidelines, very little can be said about the potential economic aspects of a rental program, and only in specific circumstances. However, for many prospective purchasers, the economics of the rental program are an important factor in the purchase decision. Real estate salespersons whose objective it is to close the sale will generally be inclined to provide as much positive information as possible.